Have you ever noticed how some women command attention without ever asking for it? They don't speak loudly. They don't try to impress. They don't compete for space, yet something about them feels undeniable. Your eyes linger, your mind quiets, your body senses a presence before your thoughts can explain it. This power has nothing to do with beauty, status, charm, or social intelligence. It comes from something far more rare and far more ancient: inner trust. A deep, unshakable alignment with the self. Carl Jung described this as the return to the authentic core, the primal self that existed before conditioning, before masks, before survival strategies were mistaken for identity. A woman who carries true confidence does not perform who she is. She lives from it. This confidence is not loud. It does not seek confirmation. It is born from an inner journey where she has met herself honestly, not only her light, but also her shadow, and chose not to run. That is where real confidence begins, not in being admired, not in being chosen, but in being self-rooted. So what separates a woman who feels steady within herself from one who constantly doubts, overthinks, and seeks reassurance? The answer is not motivation, discipline, or self-love slogans. The answer is something far quieter and far more confronting: self-trust. Not the surface kind, displayed in curated images or confident captions, but the kind revealed in solitude, in silence, in the moments when no one is watching, applauding, or expecting anything from you. Most people believe they trust themselves, yet when the noise fades, doubt appears, not because they are weak, but because somewhere along the way they learned to abandon their own inner voice. Jung observed that modern humanity does not suffer from a lack of morals or faith, but from a loss of identity. When the connection to the true self dissolves, the first casualty is trust. Trust in intuition, trust in emotions, trust in inner guidance. Imagine yourself as a lighthouse in heavy fog. If your light comes from within, storms do not move you. But if your light depends on others, one wave is enough to leave you lost. A woman without self-trust lives by borrowed light, praise, approval, reassurance, rules imposed from the outside, and when those disappear, anxiety, fear, and hesitation rush in. This is why fear of failure, judgment, or disappointing others is so common. Not because something is wrong with you, but because you were trained to give others the authority to define you, parents, society, culture, social media, day by day, decision by decision, that authority was handed outward until your own inner voice began to sound unfamiliar. You hesitate before choosing. You ask multiple people for advice and still feel unsure. You silence yourself even when something feels deeply wrong. And slowly, unconsciously, a dangerous pattern forms. You tell yourself you'll rest, but scroll until exhaustion. You promise to care for your body, but ignore its signals. You commit to change, then delay, excuse, and postpone. Each small broken promise may seem insignificant, but psychologically, something crucial happens. Your unconscious stops believing you. Jung referred to this as living behind the social mask, a persona shaped to meet expectations, while the authentic self retreats into the unconscious, not destroyed, just buried. And when that happens, confidence becomes performance, strength becomes tension, independence becomes exhaustion. Real self-trust is not the aggressive confidence often celebrated online. It is quieter, deeper, more rooted. Like an ancient tree that does not stretch upward to prove its worth, it grows downward into its roots. A woman with self-trust does not need to convince. Her silence carries gravity. Her presence speaks before her words do. Ask yourself honestly, how often have you known what felt right and ignored it? How often has your body signaled anxiety, tension, or fatigue, and you pushed through to please others? When emotions are betrayed repeatedly, the mind and body disconnect. Intuition fades. Decisions feel mechanical. Life becomes reaction instead of choice. This is why self-trust cannot be learned intellectually. It must be reclaimed experientially. It begins with listening, not to respond, justify, or fix, but to understand the quiet language of the soul long neglected. Self-trust is daring to believe that your inner voice deserves respect, even when it contradicts logic, even when it disappoints others. In Jungian psychology, the absence of self-trust leaves a person vulnerable to unconscious patterns, manipulation, self-doubt, and the feeling of never being enough. But when self-trust awakens, something shifts. You stop reacting automatically. You begin responding consciously. You reclaim sovereignty over your inner world. And here is the paradox few understand. Self-trust makes a woman magnetic, not seductive, not performative, but deeply compelling, because it signals psychological wholeness. Jung never framed this as a skill to master, but as a sacred return. No one can give it to you. But if you are willing to walk through fear, through inner resistance, through unhealed wounds, you will encounter it. Let these ideas rest within you. No need to agree or resist. Just notice what stirs, because within every woman live two forces, one rooted in authenticity, the other shaped by unhealed wounds. And the question is not whether you are feminine, but which force is leading you. Carl Jung never labeled these forces as goddess energy or wound energy, yet his work on the anima, the shadow, and individuation maps this divide with striking precision. What we often describe today as feminine power or feminine struggle is, at its core, a psychological relationship with the inner self. A woman living from her goddess energy is not perfect, soft-spoken, or eternally serene. She is real, integrated, present. Her strength does not come from control, but from inner coherence. She belongs to herself. A woman living from wound energy, however, is not weak or broken. She is unhealed. Her behaviors are shaped by unresolved pain, childhood complexes, and unconscious fears. She reacts not because she chooses to, but because something inside her has never felt safe enough to rest. This distinction matters because confidence, magnetism, and emotional stability do not arise from personality traits. They arise from which inner force is in the driver's seat. A woman in goddess energy does not rush to prove her value. She doesn't compete for attention or perform desirability. Her presence feels grounded. People relax around her without knowing why. She can say no without over-explaining. She can feel sadness without collapsing into shame. She can love deeply without losing herself. She has walked through her inner chaos and returned with understanding rather than bitterness. She has met her shadow, jealousy, fear, anger, grief, and instead of denying it, she integrated it. Jung described this as individuation, the reunion of ego and self, light and shadow, conscious and unconscious. By contrast, a woman living from wound energy exists in a constant state of defense. She may appear confident, high-achieving, even dominant, But beneath the surface lives a frightened inner child, afraid of abandonment, rejection, invisibility. She seeks external validation, not because she is shallow, but because her inner foundation is unstable. A delayed message can trigger anxiety. A small criticism can feel like a personal collapse. Her nervous system is always scanning, am I chosen? Am I enough? Am I safe? Jung referred to these patterns as complexes, emotional clusters formed around early experiences that were never consciously processed. They don't disappear with time, they hide. And when activated, they hijack behavior. This is why people repeat patterns they swear they hate. Loving emotionally unavailable partners, overworking to exhaustion, people pleasing while resenting it. These are not moral failures. They are expressions of unintegrated wounds demanding attention. Picture two women entering the same room. One moves quietly, not seeking notice. Her posture is relaxed, her gaze steady. She seems fully present in her body. You may not even notice her immediately, yet moments later, your attention keeps returning to her. The other is equally beautiful, perhaps more striking at first glance, but there is tension in her movements. Her laughter is slightly louder. Her eyes search the room for confirmation. You feel it instinctively. One is being, the other is performing. A woman in goddess energy does not attempt to lead the room. Yet the room slows around her. She does not control. She grounds. This is the mark of a nervous system that has found safety within itself. In Jungian terms, she is no longer possessed by archetypes. She is in conscious relationship with them. A woman in wound energy, however, is often overtaken by unintegrated archetypes. The shadow may cause her to attack in others what she cannot accept in herself. The immature anima may trap her in fantasies of rescue, seeking a partner to heal what she has not yet faced. These women often blame themselves endlessly. I'm too sensitive. I'm too much. Something is wrong with me. But Jung would say the opposite. Nothing is wrong. Something is unconscious. Christian symbolism offers a powerful mirror here. The Virgin Mary represents an archetype of integrated feminine energy. She holds no worldly power, yet her presence radiates inner authority. She listens without panic, accepts her calling without collapse, acts not from fear, but from trust. Eve by contrast, is not evil, she is unconscious. She listens to the serpent, a symbol of the unintegrated unconscious, and acts from curiosity mixed with insecurity. Jung explained that when the shadow is denied, it governs behavior from beneath awareness. If you've ever acted not from desire, but from fear of being left behind, that is wound energy speaking. And here is the crucial truth. No one is born in goddess energy. Everyone carries wounds. Everyone has shadows. The difference lies not in purity, but in choice. Jung wrote, "The sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being." A woman in goddess energy does not deny her darkness. She turns toward it, learns from it, transforms it. She treats herself with the care she once reserved for others. She speaks to herself with honesty rather than cruelty. She sets boundaries not as punishment, but as protection. She no longer abandons herself just because others do. Modern culture treats confidence as performance. Stand taller, speak louder, smile more, act unbothered. But Jung saw through this illusion. He understood that anything performed to convince others is rooted in insecurity, not strength. True confidence is quiet because it is not trying to prove anything. Jung believed that confidence arises only after the ego has confronted the shadow, the rejected, feared, hidden aspects of the psyche. Without this confrontation, confidence becomes brittle, easily shaken, dependent on feedback. Think of a mighty tree. What we see, the trunk, the branches, the leaves, is not where its strength comes from. Its vitality lies underground in the roots. The deeper the roots, the less the tree fears the storm. A confident woman is rooted in self-acceptance, not self-admiration, but self-honesty. She has faced her envy, her anger, her longing, her grief, and did not collapse. Because of this, she no longer needs others to confirm her worth. In Jungian psychology, the immature ego is obsessed with image. It strains to appear flawless, successful, admired. This strain creates tension, and tension creates fragility. A single comment, glance, or rejection can shatter the illusion. That is not confidence. That is defensiveness disguised as strength. True confidence only develops when a woman dares to descend into her inner depths, where repressed memories, unspoken fears, and unconscious complexes live. Jung taught that there is no ascent without descent. You cannot rise psychologically without first facing what has been buried. This descent is uncomfortable. It strips illusions. It dissolves false identities. But it also frees immense energy that was previously spent on suppression. A woman who has done this inner work may still feel fear, but fear no longer controls her. She may fail, but failure no longer defines her. She may be misunderstood, but misunderstanding no longer destabilizes her, because her sense of self does not come from outside. Many admired, successful women appear confident in public, but cannot tolerate silence when alone. Their worth collapses without distraction, like a beautiful building without a foundation. One tremor is enough to crack everything. In contrast, a truly confident woman uses hardship as information. Failure becomes insight. Pain becomes integration. She does not ask, "What is wrong with me?" She asks, "What is this revealing about me?" Jung called this process individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming whole. The ego is not destroyed in this process. It is repositioned. No longer the tyrant demanding perfection, but the servant expressing the truth of the inner world. From this place, confidence is no longer an effort. It becomes natural, like breathing. Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." This sentence holds a key that many overlook: inner trust. What we earlier called self-trust is not built through insight alone. It is built through behavioral integrity. Every time you say you will do something and don't, your unconscious records it, not intellectually, emotionally. Over time, the psyche learns my words are unreliable. Motivation fades. Intuition goes quiet. Inner authority weakens. Psychology refers to this as learned unreliability. Much like a child whose caregivers repeatedly break promises, the inner system stops expecting consistency even from itself. This is why so many people feel unmotivated, confused, or disconnected from their intuition. It is not laziness. It is broken internal trust. But the reverse is also true. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, something repairs itself inside. The unconscious begins to listen again. Energy returns. Confidence stabilizes. Drinking water when you said you would. Ending a conversation that disrespects you. following through on rest instead of overworking. These acts may seem insignificant, but psychologically they are monumental. Neuroscience confirms that repeated, aligned actions create new neural pathways associated with control, safety, and self-efficacy. In simple terms, your brain learns, I can rely on myself. True confidence then does not depend on others believing in you. It depends on you believing your own words. You no longer need reassurance because you know if I say I'll do it, I will. This is the strongest foundation of confidence, built not through grand declarations, but through quiet, repeated consistency. Imagine your inner world as a nation. You are both the leader and the people. If the leader constantly breaks promises, chaos arises. Distrust spreads. Nothing functions smoothly. But if the leader is reliable, even in small matters, order emerges, stability grows, the nation thrives. Confidence is the emotional climate of that inner nation. So the question becomes, how do you build this inner reliability deliberately? How do you restore trust between intention and action? Think of every promise you make to yourself as a brick. Small, tangible, yet foundational. Waking up at a set time, meditating for 5 minutes, refusing to scroll mindlessly at night. These may seem trivial, but their effect is cumulative. They signal to your unconscious, I am reliable. I am worthy of my own respect. Step 1, keep your word. Commit to something small but meaningful for 7 days. Write it down. Place it where you can see it daily. When you complete it, feel the subtle power of I did what I said I would. This feeling communicates to your nervous system that you are a trustworthy presence for yourself first, then for the world. If you stumble, do not punish yourself. Self-trust grows through persistence and honesty, not perfection. Every act of returning to yourself reinforces your inner authority. Small, consistent wins compound into psychological reliability. Step 2, hone your intuition. Intuition is the quiet bridge between the conscious mind and the deep self. Jung considered intuition a core psychological function, yet modern life has largely neglected it. Intuition speaks subtly. A heaviness in the chest, a tightness in the stomach, a warmth in the heart. These are the whispers of accumulated, lived experiences encoded in the body. To cultivate it, create daily moments of stillness. Sit quietly for 3 minutes. Place your hand on your chest. Ask, how does this choice feel in my body? Notice without judgment. Document a word or phrase that captures the sensation. Over time, this builds a deep, embodied sense of self-guidance. Step 3. Establish boundaries. Self-trust cannot survive if external pressures are allowed to erode your inner space. Jung saw boundaries as not merely social skills, but as spiritual acts. They communicate the value you place on yourself and your inner life. Start small, decline calls when exhausted, mute messages when you need focus, assert your limits in minor interactions. Each act signals that your inner world is sacred, protected, and non-negotiable. Initially, boundaries may provoke discomfort in yourself and in others. That discomfort is a signal of conscious living. Step 4. Daily reflection. End each day with a brief reflection. Which promises did I honor? Where did I trust myself? Where did I falter? This creates a feedback loop between conscious awareness and unconscious processing. Your nervous system begins to recognize reliability as normal, safe, and reinforcing. Over time, these 4 practices, keeping promises, honing intuition, setting boundaries, and reflecting, form a cohesive system. Your inner voice becomes confident, steady, and audible. Self-trust emerges organically. The woman who has cultivated this self-trust begins to radiate magnetic stability. She is present without performance. She does not dominate, yet her presence organizes the space around her. People feel safe, inspired, and anchored in her energy without understanding why. This is not magic. This is the psychological effect of a stable nervous system reinforced by alignment between intention, action, and inner truth. Her confidence is not performative. It is biological, neurological, and spiritual. Consider the ripple effect. When a woman embodies self-trust, she does not just transform herself, she awakens the same potential in others. Jung described archetypes as dormant forces within the collective unconscious. When one individual aligns with her authentic self, these archetypes stir in those around her. She becomes a silent guide. Others sense her steadiness and unconsciously respond. Her influence is not through commands or persuasion. It is through presence, through authentic alignment, through courage quietly lived. A woman with self-trust can handle rejection, criticism, or failure without collapsing. Her decisions emerge from the body of experience, the integration of shadow and light. She responds rather than reacts. She listens before she acts. She chooses herself without fear of isolation. Jungian psychology tells us that the process of individuation, becoming fully oneself, is lifelong. There is no final destination, only deepening alignment. Every promise kept, every boundary honored, every intuitive whisper heeded, adds a layer to the inner fortress of trust. Self-trust also transforms relationships. She does not require validation from others. She does not manipulate, compete, or chase approval. She interacts authentically, expecting reciprocity without dependence. Her relationships are mirrors of her inner state, calm, honest, and balanced. Even in the presence of chaos, she remains grounded, not because she is immune to pain, fear, or loss, but because she has learned to stand with herself in all circumstances. This is the embodiment of self-rust, unwavering inner trust, a living alignment of body, mind, and soul. And as this foundation grows, confidence naturally follows. Confidence that is unshakable because it no longer depends on the external. Confidence that is earned through lived experience, not claimed through titles or appearances. Confidence that radiates from the inside, quiet, magnetic, undeniable.